why authenticity? Why would somebody devote themselves to becoming a master of authenticity? Because authenticity is the key that unlocks the door. And what's on the other side of the door? That's the real question. That's the real mastery. Hi, friends. Welcome back. My name is Carly, and this is Owning Authenticity. And I am recording this very brief segment in the middle of a series that I am working on about the Owning Authenticity model, and the model being my scientific approach to hacking the code on what even is authenticity, how do we do it, what are the components. I've also called it the root system underneath owning your authenticity. Like, it's super easy to say just be yourself, but what does that even mean, and how do I even begin? So yeah, authenticity is incredibly confronting and challenging. And my work in this life, as it turns out, evidently, is to simplify authenticity. And how do I do that? I live into my own. Okay, like every bit of the root system that I've uncovered thus far, which I have no doubt as I continue to go through the years and decades of this life, I will refine and develop even more of what I'm sharing on this model, this root system, this code of owning authenticity. But what I want to talk about today is, why does it matter so much? Why authenticity? Like, why? That is very much the how. It's not the outcome. It's not the problem that we're actually solving here. And so I want to kind of build a bridge and connect some dots around like why authenticity is so, I would even go so far as to say like so life critically important. Like it's just one of the key foundations for life, authenticity. And why is that? And I think there's obviously many ways that we could come to this conversation, but what I'm going to say is that the cost of inauthenticity is too high. It's really high. And as hard as it is to be our authentic self, and as challenging and scary and risky, I mean, it is all of those things. Like, I'm not going to wrap it in sugar and try to tell you that it's not those things, because it is. It's scary and it's hard and it's risky. Yes. And inauthenticity, again, this is a very dramatic statement, but this is the way I want to say it. Inauthenticity kills way more people than authenticity does. Okay? Like, authenticity might beat us up a little bit sometimes with people deciding they don't like us, or, you know, like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I don't want to be married to you anymore. Like, whatever the repercussion is of us living into our true self. Sure, there can be bruises that come along with being your authentic self. Feels really good to be this honest about this, honestly. But the cost of inauthenticity, the cost of living a life that you think you should because you think that that's the right way to be, or that's what people need from you or expect from you, or society says this is what's going to be most satisfying and fulfilling to you, so you chase all of those things. Like, when we build our life on foundations that came from the outside, like when we are using external standards and metrics and voices and opinions to decide how we live our life, we've already lost. And every day that we are alive on this planet, we're nearing the end. Okay? Like, it's not forever. That's what makes life precious, is that there is an expiration date for every single one of us. And I don't mean that to, I don't know, be whatever somebody might not like about that, but like, in my opinion, it's very helpful to keep in mind and walk with death as a companion in this owning authenticity journey, because, one of the greatest regrets of the dying, it's a very, very wonderful book. I forget the author's name off the top of my head, but it is a hospice nurse who interviewed people on their deathbeds for like a decade, and she wrote this book with like the 5 most common regrets of the dying. And one of the top ones is, I didn't live life on my terms. I didn't do the thing that I always thought I would do, and I knew that I wanted to do this, and it was so calling to me, and then my husband wasn't into it, or my kids needed me more, or whatever it was, that we don't end up doing the thing that is right for us. And when we get to the end of our life, that is the most painful thing we can have with us, is the regret of not living life on our terms, the cost of inauthenticity, the cost of letting the outside dictate the inside instead of the other way around. It's brutal. I've never been on my deathbed before, but I can already feel that. I can already feel that, as painful as it is to go after some of the things that I've gone after in this journey of I want to live the life of my dreams. I want to physically live these visions that I can see for myself. That's what I want. And it's scary, of course. And you have to disappoint some people along the way, of course. And every time you do it, every time you take a step towards living your dream life and living out those visions that you hold in your heart, maybe your entire life. Some of these I've had in my heart since I was a child, like a small child. And I'm still taking steps in those directions. It's not about just getting there. It's about walking in that direction. And every time I take a step in that direction, you know who's proud of me? Me on my deathbed. Okay? She is so happy for the choices that I'm making. And every ounce of people in my current reality who might be disappointed or not understand or, disapproving or whatever it is, that they don't get what I'm doing, all of that is somewhat negated by her satisfaction. Her being me on my deathbed. Okay, who would you rather disappoint is the question. And the greatest regret of the dying is disappointing yourself. Right? This is not a buzzword. This is not a trend. This is the recipe for living a life that you will be proud you lived when you are taking your last breaths. That is how deeply I feel and how, seriously I take this. I don't always present it from this place of seriousness, but today it felt really important that we get this honest about why authenticity. Why would somebody devote themselves to becoming a master of authenticity? Because authenticity is the key that unlocks the door. And what's on the other side of the door? That's the real question. That's the real mastery that I'm working on here. And that anybody who is also working on their authenticity, there's a lot of you already in this community, this is what we're working on. We are working on building a fulfilling life. A life that we are proud of when we are laying on our deathbed, taking our last breaths. That's what authenticity is about. And it again, I've never been on my deathbed, but I visit her regularly and I check in with her. And when I'm scared, when I'm worried, when I'm wanting to do the thing and feeling held back from the thing, I go see her. And I say, got any advice for me? She always does. She either laughs at me, which can be really helpful, of This worry that I have is literally like non-existent. And she's like, you're so cute. You're so cute. That doesn't fucking matter. Not even like one little bit. But it's cute that you think it does. And like, I remember that part, you know, when I was so hung up on that. And then I got over it and it opened up into this like, right, what's on the other side of the door? Like, authenticity is only the key. What is the door? What's on the other side of the door? This is why we talk and talk and talk and talk about authenticity and owning it and standing in your truth and doing everything else in this root system that we're getting into to be who you were born to be. It matters. It matters a lot that we not put it off, that we not get caught up in our perceived reality of like, it's too dangerous, I'm too controversial, you know, so and so might reject me, my mom, my spouse, my kids. The regret of the dying isn't that you disappointed other people, it's that you disappointed yourself, and I don't want that for me. And I make this channel because I don't want that for anybody. But the truth of the matter is, I can only create my reality, right? You create your reality. This is my belief. You don't have to believe that. But I have these conversations, and in particular this one, where I say the thing that wants to be said. And I can already tell this one is going to give me a vulnerability hangover because I have a perception of myself that if I'm not fun, people won't want to watch. You know, I don't ever, like, especially those of you that watch my channel regularly, how many times have you seen me talk to you like this? Not very many. But this is what's real. This is what's honest. This is what is the leading edge of my expression right here, right now, today. I want you to live a life that you are proud of. More than that, I want you to live a life that you on your deathbed will be proud of. You taking your last breaths, that you'll be satisfied with every choice you made, that you'll look back and have no regrets about anything that happened because you went for it. And again, maybe there were some bumps and bruises along the way, like totally realistic, makes total sense to me that that would be the case. But regrets in your soul, those are poison. That's not a bruise. That's poison that kills people. And how does it do that? Those kinds of soul level longings that we ignore, they don't go away. They fester, and then they need to be medicated. And medicated with what? With drugs and alcohol, with food, with over socializing, with sex addiction, with TV, with anything that can distract you from that deep inner void that will not close. The cost of inauthenticity, that deep inner void that will not close, that gnaws at you. And when you get on your deathbed, again, I've never been there, but I visit there quite often. And when you get there and you only have a few more breaths left to take, it makes all the obstacles look like they're made for ants, you know, like they're mouse-sized. And we stayed boxed in because of a hurdle that was 2 millimeters tall. And that pain is worse than any bump or bruise that you're going to get on your authenticity journey. And I'm also recording this message for myself because I'm human and I do this, right? Like I take her, the teeny little obstacle, and I'm like, this one's real, isn't it? And she's like, no, it's not. It's see how little it is and see how big you are. Step over it. You know, you can do that. You can do that. She gives me permission all the time. All the time. I go to her and I ask her, what is it? What is it that you would want me to do in this situation so that you die in peace? Tell me and I'll do it. Because when it comes to our life and when it comes to us creating our own reality, we each get to choose. Life isn't predetermined. It's not destined. It's a series of choices. It's a series of yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. What do you do? What don't you do? And this creates your life. And so making choices is a matter of, I think, again, these are all just my own opinions. You take it or leave it, whatever you want to do. Making choices is a matter of either consciously or unconsciously demonstrating your value system. When we make a choice, you're demonstrating what is most important to you. You know, and when we are courageous, when we are afraid and we act anyway, which is what courage is. Fear and vulnerability has to be in the mix in order for courage to ever even happen. So when we are courageous, we are demonstrating, I would rather live a life that satisfies me than respect the fear, respect the anxiety, which is essentially imagining a future that you don't like. You know, like when we stay boxed in, when we stay inauthentic, when we know what we want and we don't go after it, or, you know, we don't even know what we want because we haven't spent enough time digging deeply enough into ourselves. When we stay inauthentic, we are demonstrating that fear is our master, which is to say, what's your top value at that point? Safety. Safety is your top value. And again, go back to the beginning of this video and listen, like, none of us are getting out alive. Okay? Like, safety in the 3D is an illusion. Doesn't even exist. Soul level satisfaction is real. That exists outside of the 3D. That's why it never goes away. That gaping void inside of you that is waiting for you to step into your fully authentic expressed self. That is what's real. And again, these are my opinions. You don't have to believe this, right? And in fact, I encourage you not to believe it. I encourage you to, take it into your own system and question it and mull it around and marinate in it and go visit yourself on your deathbed and see what they say. See what they say. Would they want you to do anything differently in your right here, right now life? And if you're scared to ask, you already know. You already know. And is it easy? No, it's not. Authenticity is hard. It's challenging. And I say that one last time to wrap a giant hug around anyone who is living their truth in this moment. Even one little bit of it that you have managed to move into, right? Live into. Authenticity is like our home address. Okay, your real self, that's your home address, the home address of your soul, your authentic self. And every single one of your dreams is like a package that's being shipped to your home address. So living a fulfilling life, living the dream visions that you hold in your heart, it's not a matter of actualizing the vision. It's a matter of actualizing you. Think about it. Don't take my word for it. You don't have to believe me. I don't have your answers. You do. You on your deathbed has even more of your answers. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. How this stirred your energy. What you take away from this message. Until next time, I hope you'll take very good care of your beautiful self. And so will I.